enough respect. Tito was the only person that actually played an instrument, the guitar.
Tito was the forgotten Jackson, let's face it. That's why I liked him, because while all the other girls were focusing on Michael, my eyes automatically drifted to Tito. Loved him.
Tito, if you out there, you the best Jackson ever.
Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. A true advertising slogan.
Come on, it's not falling down.
Well, of course they don't fall down, they're round. It's like saying a basketball doesn't fall down. For some reason, I always equated the Weeble Wobbles with alcoholism in some weird way. Because, you know, they weeble around, but they don't fall down, but they can still fly planes.
Weebles were weapons. That was just something you whipped at your little brother. You would get weebled.
This little guy, he's a Native American Weeble. But I bet you back then they probably just said he's an Indian Weeble.
Were there minority Weeble Wobbles, do you know?
I used to have a Weeble, but mine was a brother. He had like a little afro on the end of his Weeble.
You know what I liked? I liked the big letter H.
Big Bird owned the street. Kermit was just out of the pond. And what's a frog doing on the street anyway?
I think Kermit could be drop-kicked.
Ernie and Bert are lifetime partners.
Oh, princess! Marry me!
Bert and Ernie is the reason that so many states have domestic partnership laws. I mean, they're called the Bert and Ernie laws.
Is there nothing sacred? Just two guys living together, that's all. And one just happens to have a rubber ducky.
Hello there. This is your old pal Grover.
Today, boys and girls, we are going to learn the difference between near and you're like
Mr. Snuffleupagus with his long eyelashes.
What do you think of my costume?
Didn't someone say he was at the heroin?
Yeah, he come around, he be all, sedated. Hey, what's going on?
Susan Day. Smoking.
I like the two little kids in the Partridge Family whose job it was to do nothing.
Don't put that drumstick up your nose. Why not?
They just stood in the back and sort of got the words wrong. And then the girl did this a lot. It seems to me that David Cassidy might be saying, Mom, are these guys getting paid the same as I'm getting paid?
When I think about Danny Bonaducci at that age and how cute he was, and what an arrogant, loudmouth bozo he is now.
Lie. All lie.
You wish you could freeze him in time.
I think I'll be at least 11 and a half before I'm emotionally mature.
I remember my dad watching Hee Haw, especially the Hee Haw Honeys. Dad was all up in the honeys.
How do these backward hicks get these good-looking women?
Lulu, the fat one. I think that's where I developed my, proclivity to the larger ladies.
Junior Sample was my favorite character on Hee Haw. He told jokes, but I don't even think he understood the punchlines.
Why did Judge lock up old Stan Hawkins for?
Bigotry. He had 3 wives.
That's not bigotry, that's traumatously. I can't say that.
That guy gave me hope to be in show business, because if he could do it, maybe I could do it.
I think I could have been on Hee Haw if I wanted. I think whoever showed up on the set could be in the show.
Hee Haw did more damage to rural America than Deliverance did.
The true meaning of love.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
What?
Next on I Love 1970. But first, the roller rink anthem of 1970.
They got so into the whole thing and goofing around that they would start laughing. And that was what I waited for.
Where are you from?
I still have this memory of Tim Conway as the butler with gloves on trying to open the door. And then he ends up getting on top of the doorknob and his whole body just sort of tips to the side.
They hired Vicki Lawrence because she looked like Carol Burnett. In case we're going to do a lot of mother-daughter skits, that kind of thing.
Her Tarzan yell was great. She's doing it again! Honey, we gotta watch tonight. See if some jerk off in the audience asked her to do the Tarzan yell again.
And I remember her as Scarlett O'Hara when she came down the staircase with the drapery poles and the drapes and the whole hootenanny.
The gown is gorgeous.
Thank you. I saw it in the window and I just couldn't resist it.
I think the ear-tugging thing was a signal
to some sort of communist connection that she had, that, you know, after the Red Scare, that she was kind of letting you know, we're still out there. And at home, there were minions going,
Carol Burnett's phenomenal. She should be encased in something so we can all treasure her forever.
I hope that my parents were never involved in something like this. And I don't remember any bowls of keys at my house during their cocktail parties.
I remember hot, drunk, sexy moms hanging on my dad. And I would think, you know, gee, my dad's really popular. And I had no idea that these women really wanted to just f my dad's brains out.
I just think it sets you up for such regret. Wow, I really should have married Jane. Ow.
If there's a leak, that can be really big trouble. Because here you are, you're rocking and rolling, doing your thing with your favorite girl. All of a sudden, you feel this wetness, and you say, wait a minute, I know this girl didn't pee on me.
And if to have sex, sorry, they suck. Because you want to have your knees in a certain position where you can be stable.
Really only need to push the first time, and then the rest of the time, you just go for the ride.
This is the show where new couples would argue on television for our amusement.
How much do you know about your mate?
Nobody knew anything about the person they were married to.
For 5 points, how did your husband complete this sentence? My wife has the world's blankest what?
Yeah.
He said the world's longest hair.
Longest hair?
If I blanked your wife's blank, what kind of blank would I find?
Bill said my wife has the world's blankest expression in the morning. Especially early in the morning, Annie.
What would you expect me to do early in the morning?
The Newlywed Game really placed the word whoopee into the American lexicon.
Where specifically is the weirdest place that you have ever gotten the urge to make whoopee?
I knew that question was coming up.
And this is a question you're now going to direct at us.
Are you talking about self-whoopee or whoopee with others?
At the Holloran Hotel on the 25th floor.
No, there was that time in Hugh Hefner's pool, actually.
On the floor of the service elevator.
We would actually...
I'd leave it there, Jerry.
Let's leave it.
Coming up, it's okay to like the Carpenters. Really, it is.
When you're alone in the car, you find yourself singing along.
The Mod Squad had everything. Hip clothes, hot music, cool storylines, sexy guys. I mean, who didn't love Pete?
My name is Pete Cochran. I used to go to school with Julie was kind of nice, too. That's when I started noticing women in a big way.
Peggy Lipton had the job of jobs. She was hot, and she got to work with 2 really cool cats. I loved the turtlenecks and the scarves and the long, straight hair parted in the middle.
Television has not changed much in 30 years. You get the best looking people you possibly can find, and you have them solve crimes.
One is a complete slob, and the other one is anal retentive, obsessive compulsive, who really should be on some kind of medication.
I'm giving you fair warning. If you don't let me clean up in here, I'm going to pack my things and I'm leaving.
I'm an Oscar guy, without a doubt. I'm a sports guy. I'm a mess.
Oh, God, you have a groovy in look. You're what's happening.
I gravitated more towards Oscar, but about 14% of me, because I'm about 14% gay, went for Felix.
I'd like to meet a nice girl, but it...
You're talking like Mr. Clean here, you know what I'm saying? It's like, Felix, would you mind doing my laundry? Can I throw those socks in there? Hey, you get them back, fold it and iron and put it in your drawer.
Would you do me a favor? What? For my birthday, let me clean up in here. No!
I hated the Carpenters. Even though I was a young man, I knew enough to not enjoy the Carpenters.
But when you're alone in the car by yourself, and you know, one of those catchy Carpenters tunes came on, you find yourself singing along.
He would talk, and there would be something caught in his nasal cavity.
That's all the space he's going to need. Watch him go down the sideline.
You always were waiting for the next word to come out of his mouth.
Oh, don't tell me they didn't get it.
When I was a stand-up comic in college, my final bit would be to read the Penthouse forums in Howard Cosell's voice.
What kind of surrealistic nonsense is this?
Whether it was in the letter or not, I would always end it with, I nearly shot my load.
We have animals here. Animals.
I'm very proud of myself, desecrating the memory of a man I hold so near and dear.
Boy meets girl, boy marries girl, Boy and girl deliver the most unimaginably cheesy lines ever written.
If you're so convinced I'm a loser, why did you bulldoze me into buying you coffee?
I like your body.
She said you preppy.
I am not talking legality preppy. Nothing sexual preppy. Preppy.
And he called her a stuck-up bitch.
You conceited Radcliffe bitch.
And she was won over by that. Poor Ally McGraw.
Aren't you a good Catholic girl?
I just thought Ryan O'Neal was just...
I'm rich, really. I'm like a millionaire.
I love when they make all the snow angels, and she's wearing those mitts, which I imagine get really sort of like wet and musty, rolling around in all that snow.
Ally McGraw with her little crochet hat became a fashion icon, at least among, ingenue young chicks.
You're a heartless bastard.
I just thought she shook his world up, and I love that. I wanted to find an Oliver that I could ruin.
I'm sorry.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
What?
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
That makes no sense. I want to see that meeting where they were all sitting around going, yeah, that's the tag.
Love means never having to say you're sorry is an insane, nuts thing to say. For an insane, nuts, evil movie.
I remember Neil Diamond wore the most gigantic collars of any human alive. The collar I'm wearing today is nothing compared to the size of Neil Diamond's collar.
It's suspiciously weirdly, combed hair that was sort of like cotton candy flopped over.
I think he summed up the 70s. He had the sideburns, he had the open shirt, and he was just pure, hairy, machismo sex. My family lived by the lessons we learned from Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. Like if your brother is in trouble, everyone should flee.
That was a close call.
And then they started giving those cheat sheet things you could pop over.
Warning, shock hazard, and not at all a choking hazard. Not even a little bit.
Exactly what you want ages 4 to 8 and up or what have you playing with.
Feely, come in.
Did you deliver Mr. Rogers?
Mr. McFeely. That can't be an accident.
Alrighty.
They were warning kids. Mr. McGrab you and hold you in Mr. McAbduction. Mr. McThrow you in the trunk.
There are all sorts of things that you could do.
I was really hyper as a kid, and I can't believe I sat through entire episodes of Mr. Rogers.
You could even make paper dance.
Very relaxing. Come to Mr. Rogers' neighborhood.
You just waited for the trolley part of the show.
That was when Mr. Rogers was cooking with gas.
Everybody's fine in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood until you go to the land of make-believe to where there are these carved apple head people with too much makeup on.
It's very puzzling.
The cat would be like, me, like, meow, 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 meow.
Meow, 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 meow. Fine, king.
It's like this weird code. Really scary. I was like, I want to get out of the land of make-believe.
Every once in a while, you're 9, you wake up one morning, you want to watch cartoons, you open the toilet lid, and
There's blood.
you think that somebody was murdered in your house the night before. Nobody tells you that it's...
Coming up, the family that will live in our hearts forever.
I would have sex with Florence Henderson right now.
Next on I Love 1970. But first...
She just put out for Mr. Brady one night, and boom, wow. Let's get a maid and a house and a dog.
I would have sex with Florence Henderson right now. Give me a bottle of Wesson oil and 20 minutes in this room.
That sounds like fun.
That's an open invitation, Florence.
Oh.